Did you guys watch the United Sessions podcast?
I did not.
I didn't watch this one. No,
We're
I
live
watched
now, so
week before last, but not this one.
You need to watch this week. It's pretty funny.
It's a good podcast, man. It's a good podcast.
It really is. It is.
you know who else does a great podcast?
Us.
Us. That's right.
Us.
That's exactly right. And we are live on YouTube. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. My name, of course, is Seth. And above me, you see Jacob and Earl once again hit back with us this week. And it's been a long week. I've had some personal stuff going on, and yeah, it's been interesting. It's been some fun stuff. Let me tell you. But before we get into the show, I want to ask you guys. You guys are both fully vaccinated. I got my second shot today. How long did it take for you to start having side effects?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think I felt tired and my arm was a little sore that first day.
Uh-huh.
And then the second day, I was really tired and my arm was really sore, but I still went to work. But then that second evening, forget it. I was done.
Okay.
And then I woke up that next night. Well, no, that night. So I got my shot on a Wednesday. So Thursday night, I got the chills and then had a fever that broke. And yeah, it's not great. So expect expect Wednesday night to be the worst of it from
All
what
right.
I've heard and from what I experienced.
So in my case, I got the shot Wednesday. I was okay. I was good. And then I woke up Thursday and I didn't feel too good. My arm was sore. I was like, oh god, dang, that freaking hurts. Um by 11 o'clock Thursday, I felt like I was going to die.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
He's being a little dramatic about it, but yeah, it was pretty bad.
Okay. Yeah. My wife, she reacted pretty quickly to it, and she's been asking me all, since she got up this evening, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm fine. Like I feel just fine. Like I don't feel anything at all. And I kind of was like, did she even give me a shot? Because I didn't feel her do anything. So
I've heard lots of water. Drink plenty of water. I think you're the one who told me that actually.
Yeah, Aaron.
yeah.
I think the Seth's wife told you to do that.
And I listened to her, and I survived.
There you go.
Why do we have a black screen on YouTube?
Well, why do I have a black screen on YouTube?
On YouTube?
What are you talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about. I see all of us on YouTube.
Try refreshing your screen.
I'm gonna refresh all of YouTube.
Okay.
Whoa.
Whoa, I can hear myself.
That was me. My bad.
No, everything should be fine.
All right, I see this now. Everyone can see my phone.
So it's an Earl issue then, not a streaming issue.
It's always an Earl issue.
It's these pink headphones.
Okay, it's the pink headphones. That's got to be it. There's no llama hat. He's got the pink headphones, so that must be the issue. All right, you guys ready to get into our show this week?
Let's do it. I'm sending out a tweet now that we're on.
Okay,
that we're live.
Sounds good.
But I already put it on Facebook. So
okay, let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Mas for our very first ever fully vaccinated episode. All three of us are now fully vaccinated. My name, of course, is Seth Bidoff. Thank you guys so much for joining us. As you see with me tonight, we have Earl Nieto and Jacob Terrell. As always, we are Somos Mas. Guys, it's been a busy week. I don't know if I've told you guys all the details about our week, but we got our dogs fixed at the end of last week. And one of our dogs popped their stitches over the weekend. So, yeah, that's always fun. So she had to get restitched, and now she has staples. And so, yeah, having to monitor two dogs 24/7 basically, so they don't pop any more stitches is not fun. So, word of advice to anyone out there doing it.
There's a really cool saying that goes around. Better you than me.
No, I mean, we're glad we did it. We obviously we don't want, because we have a male and a female dog. We don't want them having puppies all over the place, and so it was a necessary thing, but yeah, it's been a hectic few days trying to take care of that. But as we get into this week's show, we got lot to get to. Of course, as everyone knows, in our brand new format, we sit here, we talk New Mexico United. We're gonna recap the previous match. We're gonna preview the next match for you guys, and then the second part of our show, we'll talk some of the biggest stories from around the world of sports, and we've got a whole lot to get to. Each of the episodes does go live later in the week on podcast feeds, on whichever podcast player you choose. We'll have the New Mexico United news and notes up Thursday at the latest, and then we will have the second part up later in the weekend. And I didn't tell you guys this, but I was kind of thinking kind of like a sub brand for that weekend show. Out here in New Mexico, we have a large Catholic population. Everyone goes to Sunday Mass. I thought about calling our show Sunday Mas. I don't know about you guys, but
Okay. Look, at this point, I don't care. Run with it.
I just thought it'd be an interesting little play on that. Again, given how many Catholic folks are out here, so I don't think Jacob heard me, so I'm gonna run with that without Jacob knowing what we're doing.
We'll run with it.
Okay, we'll do it. Well, there you have it, folks. Our weekend show will be called Sunday Mas, where you get even more Somos Mas discussion about the world of sports. Burning question for you two guys tonight: what is your stance on remakes or reboots of shows or movies?
I feel like Earl's got a good answer here, so let's roll with it, Earl.
It really depends. How close to the original storyline is it?
Okay, that's a fair point. Now, and so there's a scenario that I found out about today. But before I get into it, Jacob, I want to hear your take on this.
It's really hard to give a blanket statement on it because, like, you find out that they're redoing. Oh, I'm trying to think of something. Drawing a blank.
So CSI, for example, they're bringing back the original CSI, the original cast. That's not what I was going towards, but surely you've heard about this. Were either of you big CSI fans?
I love the original CSI. I didn't know it was coming back though.
Yeah, it's coming back with a lot of the original cast.
See, I don't like CSI, and I probably won't watch it now because it gives my wife the exact details on how to off me and get away with it.
Fair point. All right, so the reason I asked this question is that I was scrolling through my newsfeed today and I saw an article that was posted. Apparently, the CW has acquired the rights, and Jacob, you're probably old enough to remember this show, or I don't know if Earl is. Legends of the Hidden Temple from Nickelodeon.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm okay with this.
Okay.
I'm 100% okay with this.
All right, so yeah, apparently the CW has acquired the rights to Legends of the Hidden Temple. It's not necessarily going to be a children's show. It's going to be a more adult, bigger scale type of show as part of a push that they're doing to do non-scripted stuff. So to me, Legends of the Hidden Temple was like one of those shows that, like that and Guts. You get up and watch those on Nickelodeon, and I still go try to find shows whenever I can and watch them. So when I saw this, I was kind of intrigued by it. Now, because Hollywood does so much with rebooting things and remaking things. I mean, to me, this seems like it's just gonna be like another real world road rules challenge type deal. Or am I wrong?
I see. I don't know because I haven't really watched the preview on it. I did hear it's actually been in the talks for a while to reboot this. And I've been 100% okay with this since I first heard about it. I didn't realize it was that big of a. I didn't realize it had that much rent in your heart that it made the podcast. So I'm kind of impressed, actually. But that's also not the only old TV show that has made a return or is making a return. I do know that my favorite show, Supermarket Sweep, made its return.
Yes, it sure did.
Yes, for those of you watching and those of you listening, I am old enough to know Supermarket Sweep and the final round.
I think you can actually watch pretty much every season of Supermarket Sweep on Amazon Prime right now.
Mm-hmm. You sure can, and that is my that's how I go shopping. Is I just grab things and go.
So that's why the cereal aisle is always emptied out, right?
And that's why there's always 19. That's why there's always 19 turkeys missing.
19 turkeys. Always go for the turkey. Always go for the turkey.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I quickly took a little glance at the remake. Just I read one article about the remake, and from what I read, obviously not a lot of info there, but it sounds like it's going to be like more Survivor-ish than Road Rules Real World Challenge. Um, it, it sounds like it's going to be the same show. It's just going to be adults, and it's going to be actually in the jungle. So I'm here for it, if that's the case. If it gets too drama filled, then I'm out. But if it's just strictly about the competition, I'm down.
So to stick on this point of remakes, I don't want to kill this topic yet. I was at my mom's house on Sunday for Mother's Day, and we're watching some TV show, whatever was on TV. This is my brother Peter, so God knows what was on TV.
Wrestling.
Probably. I couldn't remember. But a commercial came on for the new Rugrats.
There's a new Rugrats?
Yeah, and I am totally pissed about it.
Yeah.
For one, I love Rugrats. I love Rugrats Go to Paris. I love Rugrats All Grown Up. I love whatever Rugrats was back in my day growing up. Obviously, I named 3 of them in like a matter of 8 seconds. The new one looks like I took clay or Play-Doh and I made a character and I called it a Rugrat.
Yeah, no words on that. Like that just sounds terrible to me.
Like, I'm not excited about it. I'm actually kind of upset.
Yeah, I didn't even really like All Grown Up. Like I'm a diehard regular Rugrats, just original Rugrats. That's it.
Boot this guy. Boot
But
this guy.
but yeah, anything like if we're on the subject of cartoons from our childhood, anything any remake of even the new Looney Tunes, the new Scooby Doo's, the new Tom and Jerry's, I hate all of it. I don't like the animation. It's just not the same. And that's probably a nostalgia point of view and not necessarily a actual giving it its fair shake. It's just I turn it on and I go, this isn't what I used to watch when I was a kid. I don't like it, and I turn it off.
Well, that's like the new Mortal Kombat movie that just came out. For those of you that have not watched it, it's on HBO Plus or HBO Max, whatever subscription I'm paying for. It's $15.99 a month. That's a super shameless plug. So, if you grew up watching the old uh, Mortal Kombat, where they're fighting outdoors, fighting in the dirt, fighting here, doing this, climbing the mountain to fight on the top of the mountain, to the new one, it's not the same.
I want to check the new one out though.
If
Like
you want to borrow my HBO Max,
the preview looked like it was going to be entertaining at least.
it's entertaining. It is entertaining. And if you
It's
want to
just
borrow
not
my
that one.
HBO Max, right, I will catch you off air and I'll let you use my HBO Max. I have up to five spots. So it's me, my wife, and a guest right now. So if you guys want to sign in on the guest, there you guys go. I'll text you guys the
Yeah,
link.
that'd be awesome. I want to because I want to
Sounds good.
see. I was we have Xfinity and they had that watchathon week like a couple weeks ago, and so I went and I watched Joker, which I thought was fantastic.
I loved it.
Joker was so good. But yeah,
Still have
it's
not seen it.
you got to see Joker.
Really?
Now,
Not that I like have any It's not like that I don't want to go or that I don't want to see it. It's just when you have kids, man, it's hard to watch anything that I don't want the kids to watch because they're up when I'm up and they're asleep when I'm asleep. So eventually I will.
Joker is my top 5 all-time favorite movie.
Wow, that's high praise for that movie.
It really is, especially because the only problem that I have with the Joker is that Heath Ledger's Joker in Dark Knight Rises is an just all-time performance, all-time character. Like it's if somebody says the Joker to me, that is what I think of. So to have to think of somebody else in that role, I understand that it can still be good. I understand that it can still be great, but it just won't be Heath Ledger, and I didn't. That doesn't sit well with me for some reason.
So with this Joker, you have to take all the old Jokers that you know, such as Heath Ledger and Jim Carrey, all those ones, and put them in their own category.
Jim Carrey was the Riddler.
Because this Riddler, Joker, same damn
I think
thing.
it was Jack
Um,
Nicholson that was the
Jack Nicholas, close enough. Either way,
or Nicholson
get all
or Nicholson. I get the golfer and the actor mixed up, so I don't know which one's which.
Nicholson.
yeah. So
Yeah.
get all those Jokers and put them in their own category as the villain. Get this Joker and put it in his own category as something different,
As just the guy.
as just the Joker. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great film. I really enjoyed watching it. I hadn't seen it up until then, and I can't recommend it enough. And there's some other things on there I wanted to watch, but I didn't get to during before the watchathon week ended. But before we close out our topic on reboots and remakes here, if you could pick one show or movie to reboot or remake, what would it be?
That's a freaking load. Like you can't ask us that on the spot. Like I have to actually think about that.
See, there's a
'Cause
thinking
it can't
about
be
it.
something that's like iconic, but it has to be something that what could be.
Con Air.
Is it too soon to say? Ooh, no, but Con Air is so cultish with the bad Nicolas Cage accent and the creepy guy with the little girl and I like that. I don't know. I'm not going to be able to give an answer here. Maybe because
So
everything that I want to say, I go, no, I like the original too much. So I don't know.
So if I were to remake Con Air, like I said, it'd have to have John Cena.
Not as the main guy.
No, not as the main guy, but it has to have John Cena somewhere's in there. Probably like. Is that my internet this week or is that Jacob?
As Jacob's again.
No,
Thank God it's not mine.
Full signal. I can see it.
Listen, you're stuttering. You're skipping.
I don't understand what's going on.
Maybe it's the
Hack your
weather.
Wi-Fi.
Maybe. Anyways, if you do a Con Air remake, Nicolas Cage still has to be Nicolas Cage. Like you can't change that. Maybe you could do Cena as Cyrus the Virus. That could work. You've talked me into it, Earl. You've talked me into it.
Maybe, but Cyrus was bald, so Cyrus a bald John Cena just would not look right.
Cyrus doesn't have to be bald. He just has to be a douche. And actually, he
No,
wasn't
no,
even really a douche. He was like kind of sympathetical for that movie, which is weird.
Anyways, go.
Can we get Earl to be the creepy guy with the doll?
I think it's a given.
Yes. Sign me up. I'll back it right now.
only if I get to sit in the middle of freaking nowhere in some random ass airplane junkyard and see he's got the whole world in his hands while I'm having tea with that freaking doll.
Actually, there was a little girl there too during that scene, and then there was a doll. But then he takes the doll or leaves. I don't remember. His storyline is just strange to me. Like they let him out,
Story of
and
my
he's
life.
like Leatherface. It's just weird. Can we
Story
move
of
on to
my
soccer
life.
talk? Can we please move
Yeah,
on to soccer talk?
we'll move on here just a second. I just want to say real
It's-
quick, Earl, but if you want to sit in a junkyard and drink tea with a doll, you could do that pretty much anywhere in New Mexico.
That's fair.
You really don't have to go anywhere to do that. But all right, closing out reboots and remakes. New Mexico United somehow managed to reboot their offense this past week, and they looked a heck of a lot better. That look right there, Jacob.
That's a stretch, my friend. That's a stretch. We scored a goal. That is it is an upgrade, but it's like a minor upgrade.
We did with a soft power cycle on that. That's what we did. We power cycled the club, got in a soft reboot, got them going again, and we were talking about it.
I don't think it was a power cycle. I don't even think it was a power cycle. I think we put it on rinse and just let it do its thing.
All right. I mean, if you guys want to feel that way about it, I know that there were a lot of folks after the match, which of course we know New Mexico United went down to El Paso, and were stunned in the last minute of the sixth minutes of stoppage time in the second half, and El Paso stole a point on a pretty lucky drop of the ball, I would say. But there were a lot of folks around social media after the match that still weren't happy with the way the club looked. Now, we discussed some that night, in our group text, and it seemed, looking back at our messages, we were all of the opinion that the club looked head and shoulders better than they did the week prior. After going back, after thinking about it for a few days, have you cooled off on that? Or are you still convinced that we made significant strides?
I guess I have to go with I cooled off on it a little bit because I did not rewatch this match like I did the first one. I didn't have a chance. But right after the match was over, I was like, I wonder what the stats looked like. So I pulled up the stats. And then I was like, surely the stats here tell a different story than the stats against RGV. So I pulled up the stats for RGV and I had them side by side. And y'all, they were identical. It was weird. Like they were in a couple places, we were worse against El Paso than we were RGV. But when you watch it, that's not what I saw. It's not at all what I saw. Even before we scored the goal, I thought we looked better, way better. And I don't know if it was just because El Paso looked worse than RGV, maybe because there was no long spells of possession for El Paso. There was no until the very end, obviously, and there was no like immediate threats from El Paso. That like I watched the whole match and I was like, yeah, we're in control this whole time. We're in control, and that is not how I felt against RGV. But then the stats say that we basically had the same exact game. So the stats made me pause a little bit, but I probably need to rewatch it in order to give a full thought process on if I still think we looked that much better.
So I actually got to rewatch the match, and Seth took my advice. Well, took my wife's advice. That's incredible. Um, so I actually got to watch the match,
What
and
did I miss?
you have to be on YouTube.
Oh,
So I got to watch the match, and I got to rewatch the match as well. And I thought we did look a lot better than we did with RGV, which could be the opening game jitters. Now that we kind of know who's doing what and what's going where, it's a little bit more easy to play with each other, obviously. But I still think we have a long ways to go to be the top contender to fit to beat San. I'm not even gonna go Phoenix. We have a long ways to go to beat San Antonio.
Yeah, that's that's pretty close to what I thought watching the match the first time. Anyways, was we look a lot better, but we still don't look like the team I thought we were going to be. And I part of that was I had Brian Brown as a dark horse Golden Boot winner, and through two matches we've seen him play like 30 minutes because he wasn't even in any 18 this week. And I don't know why. I Everybody that I talked to says it wasn't injury related, so it must have just been a coach's decision, and I don't know why, and that kind of worries me. But because I do think we need that other guy up top, like in that first year with Kavan, that finishes and kind of has the back line worried. And right now we don't really have that. No matter who we have in there, like our offense was good, it looked a lot better, but it didn't look menacing like it did at times in the preseason.
Well, let's start with that. So, you mentioned being disappointed not seeing Brian Brown in the even in the 18. What do you, from your perspective, do you think Troy had a reason for that, or do you think that it was just kind of a last minute thing? I mean, obviously Troy's always told us that he's going to play whoever he feels is the best fit for that match.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. He's looked Brian's looked a little slow at times, and like a little, not necessarily like slow like straight line speed, but just has looked a little off with his teammates
Mm-hmm.
in the preseason that we saw, and then a little bit in that opening match against RGV when he came in. So I don't know if that's a conditioning thing, if it's just linking up with the teammates right and still needing to build that chemistry, or what it is. So I'm wondering if he just didn't leave him out to either one, light a fire under him, or two, show him that, hey, this is how it goes sometimes. I've got tough decisions I have to make, and I'm going to make them like this. But I don't know why. Like if you look at the 18 on the bench, you basically have one offensive. You, you have Suggs, who's an offensive threat to an extent, and then you have one other offensive minded person, and that's Illich. Tenari, Azira, Tete, Schmidt are all defensive minded players. At least that's what we've seen them do so far. So how do you not have him in the 18 at least to be a threat to come in and scare El Paso in the second half? I don't know. It was a weird move to me. We'll see. But that's why we started this whole predict the starting lineup every week game that we're doing. Um, that I think Earl hates, but we're gonna keep doing it anyways because he's part of the team and that's what we got to do. But it's because there's so many talented players on this team that it's going to be hard to pick a lineup every week that matches what Troy's thinking. And we kind of proved that this week. Seth did pretty good. I think he had 16 points out of the possible 23 again. But I dropped down from 17 to like 12. Earl, I don't even remember honestly. Earl, it was uh, Earl doesn't even remember, so it's okay. Um, and that's part of the thing is nobody has any idea what Troy's thinking half the time. So, and I'm not going to second guess him. I just
So
know
we
that
did.
if you look at last week's,
Sorry, keep going.
go ahead. I just
No, I
know
was
that
just gonna say we had a chat and
if you look at last week's podcast, especially in the chat, Aaron Reeder was in there. Oh, Aaron Reeder's back again. That's what you were trying to get to. Um, he he said that Brian should start, and we all kind of agreed on that. And then he wasn't even in the 18, so who knows what's going on there? So, Earl, do you want to read what Aaron said?
Sure. So in the chat we have Aaron Reeder, who's a back-to-back watcher, so he's a high score winner this week.
Yeah.
Aaron says, "Evening, gents. I think we looked sharper in the midfield. Backline was strong, but we're still leaving something to be desired in the final third." And that's pretty much exactly what we've kind of touched on now, where we all agree that yeah, we look good, we look clean for the first 75, 77 minutes, but then something fell off and took a sharp turn during the last third of the game. I mean,
See, I disagree with that, and you've watched it twice, so far be it for me to say that you're wrong. It's just I remember when I was watching it originally. Am I gone? I'm gone, aren't I?
No, you're still
Or
here.
I was.
Yeah.
Okay. When I was watching it originally, I didn't think that the last little bit there was us playing badly. I think it was just El Paso was desperate, so they were throwing everything they could forward, and we were just having to hang on. So to me, like we talked about it a little bit, Seth. It didn't seem like it was parking the bus to me. It just seemed like we were having to be playing more defensively because El Paso was doing whatever they could to score an equalizer. I I felt like we possessed the ball even late into the second half at times, and it didn't seem like it was just 20 minutes of nothing but them pounding our heads in. It was more like 5 minutes here, 6 minutes there, and then they finally got the breakthrough, of course.
And that's one of the biggest criticisms that I saw across social media after the match was that many folks felt like we were just parking the bus. We weren't continuing to attack. We were just content to play for the 1-0 win. Now, I have no problem playing for a 1-0 win. I have no problem, doing that at all. I think any win is good. But if you look at it in terms of the pace of play, how things are going, you look at it and we weren't sitting back passing the ball around the back. We weren't not attacking, if that makes sense. I hate to use the double negative there, but we were still going forward. We were still making attempts on goal. We weren't just passing around the back. I really don't see where people think that we parked the bus. Now, Earl, did I just miss something in watching this match? Is there any reason to say yes, the Troy and the guys parked the bus?
no. So I 100% agree that we did not park the bus. I do feel like we took our foot off the gas a little bit to maybe try to play the clock a little bit, try to keep running it. Um, Obviously, we're still passing around. So I think the mindset was just to keep it away from El Paso and play that game for a little bit. But we were still taking shots on goal. I think maybe to get in El Paso's head that, hey, look, we're still trying to step on your throat. We're still trying to go for the kill shot. But we're still content with where we're at because we're up. But no, I do not think we parked the bus. I just think we went into a lower gear.
Jacob, one of the other criticisms that I saw a lot of was, once again, people questioning Troy's decisions, especially when it comes to subs. Now, I'm sorry, but I can't take issue with the subs that he made. You bring on Ilya, you bring on Tanari, you bring on Josh Suggs, you bring on Azira. And to me, I think Bruce and Harry both had a fine game, but I think Josh Suggs is better in transition going forward and back than either of them. I think Tanari is going to be a better holding midfielder than some of the other options you've had out there. Now, again, that's not saying he can't go forward, but I don't see the criticism here. I don't understand the criticism. Do you think that there were any issues with these subs?
Well, so I saw a lot of the parking the bus stuff. I didn't see much about the sub. I didn't see much complaining about the subs, but uh, my only issue with the subs is that I think half of them should have been starting in the first place. Um, but but other than that, no, I don't. I don't know how you knock that at all from a in-game tactical perspective. Like I would have personally loved to see Tete get in there uh, for somebody, just because I like Tete. Um, I would have liked Brian Brown to be in the 18 and get subbed on, but that's just because I think he can be a finisher for us. But with what was given, what options were given to us, and the circumstances that which we were in, I don't I don't understand how you complain about the subs at all. So that that doesn't make sense to me. The parking the bus thing didn't make sense to me. Basically, what I'm saying is, after a loss, just stay off of Facebook. Is what I'm saying. I learned that the first year because people see what they want to see, and I'm at least I don't know if I'm known for it or not. I mention it all the time that I'm an optimist, um, and tend to see the best side of things. And so sometimes I chalk it up to, oh well, I didn't see them as parking the bus just because.
Oh, we lost Jacob temporarily. There he is. So, Jacob, I don't know if you can still hear us, but when you get back, you were kind of cut off there in the middle of your thought. When I saw this criticism of parking the bus and looking at the subs that were made, I actually went through I went through a number of different stats websites trying to research this, and honestly, the best one that I could find at that point was the USL Championship website, which we all agree is terrible, but they do have the match day chalkboard. And so I specifically went and was looking at the second half passing for United. And as I was going through various different players, I made it through about 5 or 6 different players before all the stuff hit the fan this weekend. And so I looked at Azira, Suggs, Tanari, Illich, Cello, and Dev. Guys who either played the majority of the second, or a good bit of the second half, or the entire match. And in just looking at the second half and looking at the match day chalkboard, just from a visual representation, looking at it from what I perceived as either a forward, a sideways, or a backwards pass, Azira had 3 in the second half that went backwards. Suggs had 1. Tanari had 3. Illich had 2. Dev had 4. That's, to me, that's not a lot of backwards movement. That to me says we're still going forward, because if you compare to some of the passing, the other passing stats, Azira had 9 forwards passes. Tanari had 11. Suggs and Tanari both had 3 passes to the side. Dev had 5 to the side. Now, Dev, of course, playing up top in his position where he does, he's either going to try to turn and get up the pitch towards the final third, or he's gonna, if he can't make that turn, yes, he's going to pass it back. So I think that's understandable right there. So you can't really blame that. But just looking at the stats that I could see, and just looking at that visual representation of it, it just doesn't feel like we were parking the bus or just holding the ball in our own defensive third to try and run down the clock. Now, obviously, both clubs, you're going to take some fouls. You're going to take a few extra seconds. In the case of what's his name for El Paso, you're going to roll around. I think it was. You're going to roll around for 2 minutes. When someone grazed your leg, but yeah, I have a hard time looking at this, and seeing that negative aspect of it.
So to be honest, I expected us to park the bus when Azira came on, just to try to play it out a little bit. Azira being the defensive minded person, kind of expected it. But Azira, and no credit, no slight to his name, um, played incredible. He played 10 times better than what he did last week. He constantly kept going after the ball, kept attacking the ball to get it back at least. Um, I feel like he played a whole lot better than some other players on the pitch. I'm not going to mention any names. Um, but to be honest, I expected us to kind of park the bus. But obviously he didn't.
So Jacob, your thoughts there got cut off here a couple minutes ago. What were you trying to say? We can't hear you, bud.
And now I was muted.
There you go.
It's great. Technology is kind to me today. Yeah, I talked to myself for like an hour, and then I realized I was by myself. So that's always nice. So much so that I don't remember what my point was at that particular moment in time. But I was trying to. One thing I will say: the USL website, while it has its flaws and stats are some of the stats are a little wonky, there is a cool feature that I have been messing around with a lot this year called Chalkboard at the
Mhm.
very bottom of the thing there. And so what I've done is I have put put it to show just a few stats: passes, successful passes, unsuccessful passes, and key passes. And then at the bottom, you can kind of narrow it down to to your minutes. So if you put it to 65 minutes after we scored, the overall flow of the game doesn't look that much difference than if you look at it before we scored. Like there's forward passes galore. There's some backwards passes, but there's always going to be some backwards passes when you play like we play. So it to just further the point, I don't feel like we parked the bus. I don't feel like the subs hurt us. I just feel like El Paso started throwing more guys forward and we had to defend more because that's how it goes when you're only down one goal. If you're down one goal, you throw guys forward. If you're down 2, 3, then maybe not. Maybe you're defeated a little bit and you're just kind of going through the motion waiting for the game to match stand. But if you're only down one goal, especially against your rival at home, you're gonna try to score as hard as you can because you don't want to leave the first game of the season at home against a team that you cannot stand. You don't want to leave that with a loss. So of course they're going to. And and the play that they scored on, I thought it was defended fairly well. Kalen kind of fell asleep there, but that the header coming back across had to be just inch perfect for Carijo to get a foot to and put it in. And it just so happened to be inch perfect. So sometimes you just get beat. Sometimes a perfect offense beats a good defense. That's just how it goes. So overall, like if you take a step back and you look at the match as a whole, I feel like we were the better team. We were more in control. I felt like it was a good stepping stone after that first match. The result, not necessarily what you want. You kind of want that win. You want those 3 points. But had you told me at the beginning of the match, hey, we're going to go down to El Paso, who was in the Western Conference final last year. We're going to control the match, but we're going to draw 1-1 and not tell me when the goals were scored, I'd be like, all right, I'll take it. So, yes, they scored in the last minute. I'll still take it. We're still fine. It is what it is. And we move on to a home opener for the ages.
So before we get into that, I do have one final question regarding the El Paso match. We
Damn it, Seth! I set it up
I know
perfectly
that
for
was
you.
great, and I appreciate that. No, that was awesome. We talked a lot match week 2 about the referees and the whistles and the pace of play. Now, this week it seemed as though the referees kind of understood, yes, this is a rivalry match, and for the most part, let the clubs play. Do you feel like we handled the stoppages that were there any better than we did in the first match? And do you think that the rivalry lived up to the hype this time around? Earliest point to you.
I was just like,
No, I was reading a chat
Ah,
from YouTube.
oh yeah.
Um, Aaron, let me get back to your question here in a second. I do
sure.
feel like we did control the stoppages better. I don't know if it was because we knew it was a rivalry game and El Paso sucks. And I have made sure I've told every El Paso fan I know that they suck, including on Facebook. Um,
I want to talk about that post in just a few minutes. I've got some words to say on that one.
okay. Um, so yeah, so I do think that we handled the stoppages better in a sense that we kept playing. We didn't slow down and try to have to restart. We kind of just picked up where we left off. Um, Now to get to Aaron's question, he asked, "Do y'all think it's a matter of our?" Sorry, I'm trying that again. Do you think it's a matter of our midfield not gelling with the guys up top just yet?
It's a good point. It is something that I hadn't really thought of, but when you look at it from a sense that our our players up top, especially if you have somebody like Dev and Mondo. In fact, I mentioned it the first game when Mondo all of a sudden had to drop back into El Paso territory to get the ball and try to turn it and create something. It was because the midfield wasn't doing anything for us that match. And then you look at this match and it was the midfield was better amongst themselves. But you're right, they didn't really service the top hardly at all. So I will I will watch the match again with that in my head and see what really points out. And then, it, honestly, if you look at the goal, it was right into Swartz to Devon. So those three central midfield players weren't even involved in it whatsoever. So that's a problem, especially in this match when you have Isidro and Rivas who are supposed to be those creators. They're supposed to be the ones that kind of took over for Wehan in the central mid area anyways and distribute the ball to the top better and they did not do that at all. So that is an interesting point that I don't think any of us here thought of. So thank you for that, Aaron.
Yeah, that's a great. You just brought up a great point there, Jacob. When it comes to the bringing in players to replace Wehan, um, we knew it was going to be tough. We knew it was going to be hard to replace Bees. His goal scoring ability, his chance creation, and I think we kind of got a little bit spoiled. Jacob, you and I being down at the Mesa del Sol watching the preseason matches, we saw them bombing up the wings primarily, right? And we saw them working that right hand side with Brucey for the vast majority of the match Saturday night. And so that seems to be working at least better than playing through the midfield. And that's an area where we really need to improve. You either need to have Cello there working and having great movement off the ball to create space like we saw from Bees all last season. You got to have Moreno cutting in, opening up passing lanes. There's a lot of different things that could happen right there. And it's just not happening yet. Now, whether it's
I
communication between the midfield and the guys up top, I don't think that's necessarily it. I just think it's they're just not linking up right.
I think you can fix it, or maybe not. You can fix it. I don't know for sure, but I think what deserves what needs to be Sets up with Dev other than Moreno, and then dropping Moreno back down below them to where it's like a uh, what would that be? Trying to do the math in my head and it's not working out. But three in the back, and then you got your wing backs, and then you've got two in the middle. So like a 3-4-1-2, or something like that, to where it's you have you still have the wing backs creating that space, creating that width, but you have Moreno there in the middle to help distribute to the wingbacks or distribute to Devin Bryan up top, or to just dribble up and take it himself because he's capable of doing that. Because that's what we saw Weehan do a lot, and I think Amando has the capability to do what Weehan did in that role. It's just he's been asked to play up more, and you can't really do that when you're at the 18-yard box for El Paso.
Yeah, a lot of great points there. A lot of good things to look at, and definitely something that we will be watching going forward. Aaron, thank you so much for those questions so far. And I know Jacob really teed it up for me earlier, but I felt like we still had a little bit more discussion there.
Silver platter.
It was right there, man.
And we're still not done.
That's right.
Because I got to get to Jerry. Because the match ends. I'm like, okay, well, El Paso fans will surely be quiet now. Like, they just got dominated for 95 and a half minutes and scored a great goal. Don't get me wrong, but like it had to fall perfectly for them. And then somehow he still starts something on Facebook by posting a picture of a ref with a United logo on their shirt. And I look back at that game or that match and I go, what did you see that I did not see there, buddy? Because there was a penalty on Moreno that should have been called, more than likely. Anyways, I felt like it should have been called. I don't feel like he went down too easy. I felt like there was an arm in his back, and that's what took him down inside the box. That should have been a penalty. That should have put us up 2-0. That we don't even have this conversation. You have fouls were 19 for United, and I want to say 13 for El Paso. I don't have that stat up at the moment, but I can get it up real quick. So 19-16. Yellow cards were even at 3 apiece. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I was
There
blown
was
away.
there was
by that.
literally a sorry, there was literally a foul called on Brucey for getting mowed down.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, the player for El Paso went through Brucey's back, and yeah, Brucey was called for a foul. That made zero sense to me.
I rewound that little section about 8 times this morning to see, am I missing something? I'm gonna have to go back and look at it a 9th time because I still don't know if I'm missing something.
Yeah. So I don't know where he got that take from. When I saw the post, my jaw hit the floor, and it just goes to show that El Paso fans are just idiots. They just don't know what they're talking about. So now anything that they say, I just I can't I can't take them seriously no matter what. Like El Paso can
They
dominate us
still in,
for the next 20 matches, and anytime an El Paso fan opens his mouth, I'll still just be like, "Okay, buddy, you don't know soccer, so I don't really care what you say."
they still insist that they were not chanting what we all heard.
See, and I didn't hear it, so all right, if y'all want to touch on that, you guys be my guest, but I did not hear it. I don't know if I didn't have my volume loud enough or I just wasn't paying attention, but
Oh, it was
So when
primarily
you go
on the
back,
goal kicks.
yeah, obviously.
yeah, on
but
the goal kicks, there comes that stupid freaking chant. And Aaron, if you want to chime in on this part and let me know what you heard. Yes, Yuma walking around and barking at the refs. Dude should have been sent off. Yes, he should have.
we say
But
that every
Yuma,
match too. Every time we play El
exactly.
Paso, we're like Yuma and Richie Ryan. I've seen Richie Ryan grab, spin a ref around to bark in his face, and nothing ever gets done to him, and I don't understand why. He's a little prick.
So to touch on what we were just talking about, and I really hate having to have this conversation because we've had it before, and it's tiresome already. There's a stupid chant that El Paso obviously finds funny, and they yell it and chant it at every goal kick. It's a 4-letter word. I'm not gonna say it because I'm not trying to get flagged on Facebook or YouTube or wherever the hell we're at nowadays. Um, it's a 4-letter word and it starts with a P and ends with an O. I'll let you do your. I know they were Aaron. I know.
Everybody
I'll
knows.
let you
Everybody
do.
knows.
Right. They're the El Paso club, the Locomotives club themselves, as well as the Eighth Notch, as well as everybody following that cult of a fan base, insists and is willing to die for it pretty much. And I know because I've went back and forth all day with El Paso fans. They're willing to die for the fact that they're not yelling the P word, but instead yelling Chuco, Chuco, which I guess is El Paso's um El Paso's nickname, I guess. I don't freaking know. Nor do I give a shit, really. I don't. The fact is, I know what I heard. That was primarily why I went back to watch the game because I got into it with some El Paso fans. And I said, you know what? Maybe I am wrong. So I went back. And no, I was not wrong. More than twice, it was that stupid word. And it's ridiculous.
If you go back and look at the Twitter reaction from the week prior,
Says they were told. I tune out the. Am I?
um,
Oh, I'm still here.
yeah, you're here now. So from there, I follow the Down in the RGV podcast Twitter, and from their perspective, from I believe the week prior, I think they had a preseason match or something. They even stated that a chant was being done at that point. So you've got you've got people out there that are confirming that this chant is happening, but yet the club seems completely oblivious to it and saying something else is being done. Like,
but even at that, not even the club, the USL,
yeah,
who is advertising pride and all this stuff. I mean, I have the flag right there. Jacob has it right above his right shoulder. Your other right shoulder. There you go. There's this big initiative for USL stands with LGBTQ. Trust me, I do too. I have nothing wrong with it. It's your right, whatever. Am I personally on that bandwagon? No, I'm not. But the fact that the USL will not step up against it because it's a playoff squad or a championship contender is bullshit.
See, and I'm not sure I'm right there with you on that. Like when we would have that chant here in, well, not here because I'm in Fort Sumner, but in Albuquerque, um, our club, the PA announcer would come on right away and say, "Hey, knock it off." The club has put out several statements. The Curse put out several statements that first year, and maybe it's because we're not as attached, or we're not into the Phoenix, or the sorry, I get my hated rivals mixed up sometimes. Um, Maybe it's because we're not in the same level of the weeds as they are over there, as we are here. Um, but they don't they don't seem to be saying anything about it. I don't know why.
who knows? You know, it's unfortunate that that some of these supporter groups aren't stepping up, that some of the clubs aren't stepping up, that the league hasn't stepped up and really done something to enforce it. Now, I know it's on a, it comes down to the clubs and to the supporter groups. I know when we heard it, it came from it generally came from the area in which the curse sat, and the curse, like you said, they came out and they spoke out against it. And now I know that they can't police everybody. That's not a reasonable thing to ask, but they've worked with the club, they've worked with security at the lab to try to weed out the people that are doing this. And something's got to change.
Yeah. Yeah, to me I know that I've heard it at United Games. I'm not gonna say that we're perfect over here, but you almost always heard uh what would we yell? Now I'm drawing a blank. It's been so many days since the last time we had a home match that I can't remember. But we would we would yell something else, and you you would have a few that decided to do their own thing. But over there, it I know I didn't hear it this match, but in previous matches, it sounds like it's everybody
Mm-hmm.
saying the same thing. It sounds what it is. It sounds predominantly like what they're saying, whereas here you catch it every once in a while. And so that just goes to show El Paso fans and what they're made of, basically. And I'm not going to say all El Paso fans, but a majority of El Paso fans. Like
Well,
Jerry probably yells it. Let's be honest. Jerry probably.
yeah, who knows? Let's just hope that any traveling fans this weekend, specifically those coming up from Austin, are better behaved than our compatriots down in El Paso. And as far as I know, the Austin Bold fans have a little bit more, have a good deal more class than the El Paso supporters. Let's leave it at that. So, guys, we've talked about it off and on. By the time Saturday gets here, 575 days in between matches at the lab. New Mexico United is finally home, finally back at the lab. We are looking at 50% capacity for Saturday's match, or did it go up again? 75. I know
75.
I know it's been going up. I know we are in turquoise now, and the club has been putting out statements saying they're releasing more and more tickets. I didn't see an exact number on that, but this is going to be fantastic. I know we've already heard from the club. We're going to have at least 2 of us there on Saturday night. And first and foremost, how does it feel to finally be heading back to the lab, guys?
So I posted it on Facebook a while ago, and I've been posting on Facebook all freaking day. Peter put out a post a while ago, pretty much giving the same spiel you just did. Only he was holding up the opening day flag, which has been one of Somos Mas's Facebook covers, where it's the state of New Mexico with all the first responders, essential workers, pretty much. And I put it gave me freaking goosebumps because for the first time in 500 something freaking days, more than 575 because I didn't go to the last home match, or 574 and a half because I watched half the match at home.
Well, we'll reach out to the club and let them know they have to update their count to the last time Earl was at the lab.
Yeah,
please do. Please do. Anyways, it gave me freaking goosebumps, and it makes me more and more excited talking about it to the point where I don't want to talk about it anymore, and I just want freaking Saturday to be here.
yeah. Aaron, Aaron just commented he's gotta get to bed. So, um, I know Earl feels your pain, Aaron. So, thanks again for stopping by. Next Tuesday we'll be here again. Love to see you, hear from you again. And at this point, if you keep coming on, then we're just gonna have to get you actually on the podcast one of these times just for fun. Um, so what? The only thing that like I'm beyond excited for Saturday, but I have this pit in my stomach because there's only at the moment, anyways, there's only 2 passes for 3 people, and I don't know how that's gonna work. I I don't want to think about it. I'm praying that Seth can just get his pass through ESPN, and then we don't have to worry about it. Um, so how no matter how awesome it's going to be, one of us is going to miss out if we don't get Seth in there through ESPN, and that it it breaks my heart just a little bit because even if it's not me, even if I still go, like to know that one of us three isn't going to be there, just really, really, really kind of sucks for this first match. Like I feel like they should open it up this first match to sin just so that we can all say we were there, and then after that go back down to 2 or whatever they're going to do. But yeah, it Saturday is just it's going to be incredible no matter what happens, no matter who can go and who can't. And I mentioned it back when me and Earl were on by ourselves when Seth was in Angel Fire. Um, like that, it it's going to it's going to be over a year's worth, 575 days worth of pent up emotion, pent up frustration, pent up sadness because it was just a rough year for everybody. Um, you know, for those of you listening that don't know, I I'm not your typical soccer fan. As far as political affiliation and beliefs in some things, but I'll be damned if I don't love everybody that's in that stadium uh, as family, and to be able to have everybody there again. It we talked about it. Me and Earl talked about it. Me and Seth talked about it. It's soccer's secondary at that point. We could get our asses kicked 5-0, and I think every single person that walks out of there will still be smiling, aside from the people who thought we parked the bus. And I can't wait for that. I can't wait to either live it or hear about it from the ones that do get to live it, if it's you guys or what we decide there, how we decide that. But it Earl's talked about goosebumps a lot, and yeah, I think the first time you walk in and hear "Oh, somos unidos," that's it's. If a tear doesn't come to my eye, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, it's gonna be an emotional night for sure. I know I for one, I think for me, it's gonna take a few minutes for everything to really set in. You know, we're gonna get out there. There's
Seth,
gonna
you're the robot of the three of us, so I wasn't sure how you would react. I thought you. I wasn't sure, but
spring a gasket or
I
something.
I kid a little bit because I know you're not a robot, but out of the three of us, you definitely are the most even keel. So, yeah,
It's gonna be a strange sensation. First of all, walking in to we're looking at what probably 8,000-9,000 people, may potentially. We won't know the exact ticket numbers until Saturday night. But walking in with that, hearing the walkout music, hearing the magic minute, there's all these moments that are going to hit. And it's been a year and a half almost since we've been at the lab. I mean, first of all, it's going to be
almost 2 years.
almost 2
over
years.
a year. Over a year and a half, if my math is right.
Yeah, I try to do off the top of the head math, but seeing the people, seeing the curse march into the stadium, seeing the flags flying, seeing it's going to be moment after moment, and I think it's going to take all of us as fans a few minutes to get settled in. And I think once the play on the pitch gets started, I think the fans will find their rhythm. And the next thing too is then, how does that affect the players? You know, they've been playing over at Mesa del Sol, a couple hundred folks, and then there were a few hundred folks up in Colorado Springs last year, when they played the Switchbacks. But this is going to be completely different than anything they've experienced for the past year and a half. And so,
And for the majority of them, they've never going to have experienced it.
yeah,
I think there's 7 players that were on that first season, and the other 13 have never experienced it. Maybe 12, because I think Phil is technically not counted in that 7. I don't remember when I figured that number out. I don't remember exactly how I figured it out. But either way, the majority of them have never experienced anything like this, and I'm very curious to see how they react.
yeah, you have to wonder if it's going to take them some time to adjust to that, or if there's some nervy moments. Maybe we see an early goal, a couple early fouls or something, that are just a little bit harder than they need to be, or we concede something early just because of those nerves, and all those emotions going through everybody. But I think, again, it's going to be, they're professional soccer players. These guys should be prepared to go into something like that. For all we know, Troy is pumping in music out at Mesa del Sol, pumping in crowd noise down there so they get kind of used to it. Who knows? Granted, the PA system at Mesa del Sol is not exactly fantastic, but it's like I said, it's gonna be moment after moment going into that. And this weekend will also be Austin Bold's first match. They haven't played a match yet this season. I mean, which kind of at this point still boggles my mind. I mean, they're in Texas. I don't understand how they haven't played a match already, but yeah. So you have to think, for them too coming in, how is that crowd noise going to affect them? What sort of effects is that going to have on them? And so I look at this. I think the closer we get to it, I think I feel more strongly that we're going to walk away with a win from this one.
Yeah, I think that if we don't, then it'll be because we're too amped up. I don't think it'll be. I don't think we'll come out and we'll see a team that's flat. I don't think we'll see a team that isn't excited to be out there. I think we'll see Brucey bombing in and right and just knocking dudes over like he did in El Paso in the first 5 minutes, and you'll see Dev active. I think you'll see a strong performance coming out. It's just, to me, it's about that first goal. The longer it takes to get that first goal, the more tension that's going to be in the lab. And if we can get that first goal in the first 15, 20 minutes, then I think they could maybe loosen up and play a little bit better. But if it's into the second half, into the 70th, 80th minute, and it's still 0-0, or we're down and we don't have a goal on the board yet, then it's going to be interesting to see how they react for sure.
So, call me crazy.
Not a problem there. I do it all the time anyways.
But I kind of, I don't want a blowout. I don't. I want us to go 0-0 until like the 70th minute, 80th minute, to where when we finally score that goal, the freaking lab explodes.
It's gonna explode anyways, and I feel like if it goes till the 70th minute, my heart will explode before the lab explodes. So I need an early goal, man. You're young, your heart can take it. Us old guys, man, we need that early goal so that we can breathe a little easier throughout the night and not get our heart rate as elevated.
Yeah, I think an early goal
for the heart rate.
I think an early goal will go a long way towards settling the nerves of everybody, from the players to the supporters. And yeah, I don't want to wait until the 70th minute to see a goal. I mean, I'd rather get out there and
You
get
guys are
that
more
goal
fun.
and you know, have the guys settle into a rhythm and get that feel back for being at the lab.
You guys are no fun.
And I want this to be Salt Lake or Real Monarchs match from April 13th of 2019. I want it to be 5-1 by the time 5-0 by the time it's over is what I want. I'm not predicting that, but that's what I want. I want an early goal and then a goal right before halftime and then a goal right after halftime and then a couple after that just to spread it out, make it exciting throughout the whole thing. Because the only thing about the Real Monarchs match is it was like bam, 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 and then the fifth one came in the second half and was kind of boring. But so I want those goals, man, not fast and furious, but like the 20th minute, the 42nd minute, the 56th minute, the 70th minute, the 80th minute, the 90th minute, something like that, man. That'd be perfect because that place would be so loud all night if that happens. There, it would it would just be a constant roar if that's the case. And you'd still get the eruption. You'd still that first goal, no matter what happens, it's the if the lab had a roof, it would get blown off after that first goal, no matter when it comes. As long as it comes during that match, it's going to explode.
So I've been looking at the Austin Bold FC website, trying to look at their Wikipedia page. Again, another club that doesn't have a 2021 season Wikipedia page for whatever reason. Guys, you gotta get on this. Get your Wikipedia pages going. Um, so it's kind of hard to track what they did in the off season. They do have an updated roster out there, but that's about it. From what I can tell, they didn't necessarily do great in their preseason. They drew with RGV. They lost. Or they beat OKC Energy, and then they drew with FC Tulsa. From what I can tell, is there anyone on their current roster that stands out to you as a player that we should be keeping an eye on Saturday night?
Who's even on the roster?
Right. I mean, some of the names that kind of stood out, players that we've seen before. Uh, Diouf is back. Josue Soto is back. Omar Gordon is there. They've made a couple signings, a couple loaned players coming in from Nashville SC. And let's see, they also loaned in Juan Pablo Torres from NYCFC. So they've got a few names out there that might seem familiar, but again, this is a club that we haven't seen, since last year. And again, the news it's been kind of hard to follow as far as they go. So, I honestly don't know what to expect from this Austin Bold side.
Somebody stall for a second.
Let's see.
All right, I'm back.
Okay.
So I was actually really high on what Austin did this offseason. I followed what I liked about them is that they've always been competitive. They've always been pretty good. Their attack has always been questionable. So two names that they went out and got. They went out and got Sean Akoli. I don't know if I'm butchering that name or not, but it's a name that I recognize. It's a player that I think has quite a bit of talent. He was with Orange County last year, um, and I think he has potential to bring some scoring punch to them. And then in that same fold, a guy that we should be somewhat familiar with, Jason Johnson, played for Phoenix in year one of New Mexico or of New Mexico United, I think, unless I'm getting him confused with somebody else. But they're both offensive players that I feel like were good signings for them in a position of need that could give their offense a little more punch. And then they offer that you'd mentioned some other names that they added that I had seen before, and And all in all, I think they have a talented squad, and I thought that they would be fighting for that fourth spot in this group, and they still might be. RGV's looked impressive though. Colorado Springs has not, so we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But I I think it's going to be a good match. I think our defense is up to the challenge. It just comes down to our offense, and if our offense can do anything like it did in the preseason, and if it can build off of what it did against El Paso, then watch out. Because if that midfield starts to connect with the players up top, it could be a good game for us, especially with the energy of playing at the lab.
And we're certain that this is Jason Johnson from Phoenix and not our friend Jason Johnson from Horndean United FC over in England, right?
That's a joke that goes way over my head if it's a joke.
JJ from sport from the Sporty SCN podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's JJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm relatively sure it's not, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't know if our friend JJ could take the Phoenix heat, but yeah, it's sorry, something was going on with animals or something in the other room. Distraction. Anyway, yeah, again, we don't know a whole lot about this Austin FC club. So we're going to find out a lot Saturday night at the lab. From our perspective, who do you think is going to be the key for us?
I I think it's Amando. It Amando needs to create more for other people and for himself for that matter. I don't have the stats up in front of me, but I feel like he and Dev have just been non-factors for the most part. Um, let me rephrase that. Dev was a complete non-factor for the first match. Amando has seemed to be a no-show for both matches. Um, I think it's because we have him playing out of position, but I'm not 100% sure there. But he's got to show up. He's got to do something. Um he's got to make things happen. He's got to be that distributor and the attacker and everything. If we're in the same lineup that we've been in, or basically the same lineup, then he's got to step it up.
All right.
And
I was gonna say, Earl, who's your pick?
it's either between Mondo or Sergio. It's gonna be someone that has some kind of goal scoring ability that hasn't scored, obviously, because we've only had one goal this year. Um, but knows how to score and thrives off of fan interaction. That's that. That's my idea on who's.
Yeah, Sergio's not a bad pick. I'm very curious to see how he reacts to playing in his home state for the first time in front of home fans, and hopefully he can harness that energy and use it for something good instead of getting nervous about it and struggling with it.
Earl, score prediction. What do you get? What do you have?
Well, my heart says 1-0. Kind of like I said a while ago. My heart says 1-0, scored in like the 80th minute. My brain says 3-1. Obviously, us.
All right, Jacob.
No, let's see. You know what? I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna say 4-0.
4-0. All
I
right.
I guessed that the first match and was completely wrong, obviously. So I think I'm just gonna keep guessing it until it happens, and then I'm gonna be like, "See, I told you guys."
All right, all right. Not a bad guess. Not a bad guess. I definitely like our chances better this week than I did last week. I feel like we showed up a lot more against El Paso than we did in the opener. And so I think it's going to be 2-0 us. I don't think we quite get that 3-goal mark, but I say 2-0. I think we get one in each half. And just to throw it out there, Dev in the magic minute for the opener. Because I mean, who better to score the first home goal of the season? He's already scored the first goal, so
That's what Dev does is score first goals in season. So yeah, that doesn't make that makes a lot of sense. So real quick, um, I pulled up 3 players from the last match and their stats, and so just in general, their passes. Devin had 32 passes. Sergio had 47 passes. Armando had 15, as in 1-5. That's that's not that's not what you want. Like he has to be more involved in the attack. He had no shots, no goals, obviously, no shots on target, no block shots, no successful crosses, no assists, no chances created, one offside call, and one unsuccessful cross. Um, Dev had a goal, 2 shots on target. He was offside once, didn't have any chances created or anything like that. But I think that could be part of the problem is that I haven't looked, but I imagine if you look at our chances created up and down the roster, nobody's going to stick out there whatsoever, and that's part of the problem. And I think that player needs to be Amando because he's like a 0 on the stat sheet. He won 2 fouls, conceded 3 fouls, so that's a net negative. He obviously he's in a position where he doesn't play a lot of defense anyways, but no tackles, no clearances, no block shots, no interceptions. Like I said, no shots on target, no shots off target, no block shots, no nothing. And then only 15 passes. All of them were short. He only won 2 duels and lost 10, and lost 3 aerial duels and won none, and had 53 or 66.7 passing accuracy, which is the best, is better than Dev, but still not great. So Armando has to step it up in order for us to play better on offense.
yeah, I think that's a very fair point to put out there. Mondo just hasn't looked great so far in the regular season, which is kind of a shock given what we saw from him in the preseason. He was playing well. He was creative. He was, he had that, he had some good, I think he had a couple good goals in the preseason. So it's kind of surprising to see that him not as efficient as he was previously. So hopefully that's something that he gets turned around here in the next couple matches.
Yeah, he has to, and you know why he has to? Because there's players on this team that'll take a spot because of how deep we are. He, I imagine we'll see him this match, but if he has another performance like he did the last 2, I wouldn't be surprised to see him coming off the bench. Like we talked about Troy trying to light a fire under Brian possibly, and that's why he wasn't in the 18. If doesn't start producing, that's going to happen to him. It just is.
All right. I think that's just about it for our New Mexico United show this week. Anybody have any final thoughts before Jacob gets us out of here?
Fuck Phoenix.
Fair, fair. We are an hour and a half into the show, and it took that long for Earl to get that out. So kudos to him on holding it in for that long, and I understand that it had to be said. It just had to. Yeah, my only thoughts are glad we played better. I wish we'd have got the 3 points, but we it sets us up for a weekend that has built to be a once in a semi lifetime uh, opportunity for the fans and the players and everybody involved. So I can't wait. We're a little under 5 days away from it, or 4 days away from it, and yeah, it's going to be incredible. And I don't want to have to shoot either of you, but I will take your kneecaps out if we only get 2 people to go. So just uh just throwing that out there. Other than that, guys, hit us up on social media. You can catch us on Facebook, Somos Mas and M, Twitter, Instagram, uh, all of the above. Earl and Seth are on Twitter and Facebook, maybe Instagram. I don't know. I should know by now, but Earl's holding up 3 fingers. I don't know what that means. So we're just gonna say okay, Earl, and we're gonna go ahead and say that I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I'm not on Twitter. I run the Twitter account for the Somos Mas. So if you're talking to somebody on Twitter, it is me for the most part. So hit us up on there, email us, direct message us on any platform, however you want to get a hold of us. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and rate and review on Apple Podcasts and anywhere else that you listen to podcasts. It's greatly appreciated. It lets us know that there's people out there that are listening and enjoying. Or if you want to leave a review that says, "Hey, do this better," we will definitely make a concerned effort to do better at whatever it is you do not like. So next week, same time, same place. Maybe we'll have Aaron Reader on the pod. And yeah, until next week, somos unidos.
All right, that has been our New Mexico United show for match week number 4, technically. Thank you guys so much for watching, Aaron, and everyone else watching in YouTube. Thank you guys so much for being here. Jake and Earl, I know we are running a little bit later than we normally do. Do you guys still want to do the other show? Or, I mean, there's nothing really like pressing. So,
I'm good to call it a night.
okay.
I
Earl,
mean, there was not a whole lot we asked about it, mainly
yeah.
some Oakland nonsense and some stuff like that. Maybe we touch on that next week after we know a few more details.
Yep, sounds good to me then. So, thank you guys so much for being here. Jacob, Earl, thank you as always for being a part of the show. Show would not be what it is without you guys. So appreciate you both and appreciate everyone watching. Be sure to go like, subscribe to the channel. That way you get notifications as to when we go live. And as always, you can go back and watch the episodes here on YouTube, or you can catch the edited audio only versions later in the week on whatever podcast player that you do listen to. For Jacob, for Earl, for myself,